Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the beginning of Unlimited Younger Life.
I feel like I'm doing Cirque du Soleil here with Younger Life
Good
Live.
stretch, good,
My gosh.
warm up music.
You know, we got to talk to our tech crew. I love this intro,
I do
but
too.
I'd like something a little meaty, something with a little energy. Woo!
Jam out.
We could have like 4 or
Jam
5
out.
different ones, right?
Yeah, I know it.
I could hear the tech producers going, "Shut up, Federica. Just get
It's
to the
so
show."
pretty. It makes me want to close my eyes and,
Oh, it is a great day to be alive. Hi, Mary Anthony.
How's it going today, Rick?
It is absolutely great. I'm doing
Good.
great. Thank you.
Good.
Mary Anthony, Rick Federici, Younger Life Live. All right. So as we wind out Gerard Media LLC, IU Health LaPorte Hospital, the tech crew at Younger Life Live, executive producer on site, Ryan Beth. Big round of applause. We're going to get his butt involved with this, but these competitive things that you're throwing my way about who's going to have the best dish next week at Cafe 1007. We're going to take it on the road. We're going to go healthy. Are we cool with this?
I am.
All right.
I love to try new things.
And then I think we're going to do a part 2, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to go back to the bike stop.
Yes. I think we're going to get a look around at the things we had been talking about that, clearly they brought so much with them.
Oh my
but,
gosh, it was
they
awesome.
can't bring everything. So it will be just kind of a, fun follow-up.
Did they call the headless mannequin Betty? Was that what it was?
And Trina says it's a womakin
A womakin.
because her name's Betty.
Now, you could do a little Aerosmithism in there and call Mamakin.
Yeah.
Thank you,
There
Steven
we go.
Tana.
Oh, I love him.
So on the show today, let's talk a little bit because we've got a great guest coming up
We do.
here on Younger Life Live.
I'm so excited. It's a concept about urban gardening, and we get to talk to Sasha Burns today, and she's got a lot to tell us, so I'm excited.
All right, so let's pop over to the Younger Life Live Studio B.
Okay.
Because we're in Studio A. Sasha, do you have your technical producers ready to rock and roll with us? How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Oh, we're
Good,
fantastic.
thanks.
Listen,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. It is just phenomenal. I'm really excited to bond with you here on the air because I am like one of those typical guys. I've got a family, I've got a wife, I've got 2 adult daughters, but I want to know a little bit about you. So tell our Younger Life Live audience a little bit about yourself, please. And then I want to chat with you about what you do, okay?
Okay, no problem. So I'm Sasha G. Burns, and I am a lifelong gardener. I started gardening when I was about 3, out with my grandfather out in his garden, picking peas, sugar snap peas. And from there, I've kind of grown on me, the whole gardening thing. So I have 2 daughters. We live in LaPorte, and I have a 3rd grader this year and a 7th grader. And both of them are really good about helping me out in the field and getting stuff done, going to the farmers markets and helping to promote, organic foods and the benefits of them.
God bless our
Awesome.
farmers. We're all about
Yeah.
that. And that is very cool that Sasha's involving her young ones because
I love
it
that.
keeps the tradition going. It makes them understand, I think, realistically, how we all work together as a unit. Team
Yeah.
player action here. So obviously, do you garden at all? I'm just curious.
It's so cute that
I'm
she
just
says
gonna ask
sugar
you
snap
this.
peas.
Yeah.
We plant a very little garden.
Okay.
And it's we do it outside because the kids love it.
Of course.
And it tends to end up being a bigger mess than anything. But it's fun. It really is. It's fun. And we plant we do peas because the kids love those. Green beans they love. Cucumbers they love. Tomatoes. We try carrots. I'm not a good gardener.
Okay.
My mom is saying shame, shame, I'm sure, because she is a good gardener. But every time we do carrots, they're like the little scrawny, little tiny. They
Little
turn out like
thin
this,
ones, I
and
get
it's
it.
so funny. They'll come into the house going, "This is the best carrot." They're like barely nibbling on a little tiny shred of
It's
a
a
carrot.
toothpick.
It's like, yeah, but they love it. They don't care, and that's why we do small because they pick it and eat it. I mean, we'll rinse it and they just eat it. It's just like a snack. Or if we're making lunch, I'll say, "Oh, go pick all the beans that are ready," and they love that. Last year planting it, we have 5 kids. They age range from 15 down to 4. So last summer it was so funny. We finally tilled a little spot where the garden goes.
Sure.
Did that, and it was very muddy out. So as we were trying to plant, and it was a little muddier than normal, but we were still doing it. We always put our garden in way too late, so who cares? It still grows, and they love it.
Yep.
But it started with the littlest one through mud at the next one up. And at first I started to say, stop it. We were already all barefoot and in shorts, so it didn't really matter. We already had mud on us. But when he did that, the other kids started laughing and said, here, they took another handful. Pretty soon they were all throwing it, and they started saying, they said, that was the most fun game. They called it plop because we literally were just plopping. They laughed still. They still every now and then say, I cannot wait to plant another garden and play plop. We were a disaster. I mean, we had to hose off. I ended up doing it too. We were covered in mud, and it was fun. We laughed our butts off. It was a lot of fun. And who cares?
All right, here's the big question now. You threw out a term to me, Sasha. I got to ask you this because I am curious. You threw out this term, and I hope I'm not going to get spanked for this. Urban gardening.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yep,
Sasha?
urban gardening.
Okay, so me being I'll say the typical guy, because I'm not going to throw you intelligent ladies into this conversation, because you are
You
what
can
makes
throw
it
me
world.
in.
And I know that if I didn't have my wife, I would be in big trouble because she keeps me focused, alive, and organized. What is urban gardening?
Well, it's gardening for people that don't necessarily have yards. So if you don't have a yard, most people think that you can't garden because you don't have a large enough area to plant a traditional garden. However, urban gardening is where you can do container gardening. So you can plant into containers, whether it be on a small little porch or, onto a balcony or whatnot, and you can actually still grow edible food for yourself. Just smaller scale.
All right, so here's another challenge, because here at Younger Life Live, we challenge not only each other, but we also challenge our listeners and our viewers to work with us to take a step here and there, Sasha. I here at the radio station, in fact, we have a couple of radio stations, I would easily do this, so I need you to help us, to educate us on how we can do this, because I'm like, I don't know where to start. Okay, I can get a cute little flower pot my daughter made me in Girl Scouts, or something, but you know what I'm saying? So what do we need to do, and how do we go about doing that? Because, this is me going, okay, I love peppers. I love strawberries. I love tomatoes. Can you do that? So where do you want to start with this? Because the basics, and then I want to know how to do this, and then I want to challenge everybody, including us, to do a garden here. So are we going to do that?
That would be cool.
Okay, cool.
I was curious too if the container is different than the like the raised beds that you see people plant in. Is that different? Are you speaking actually like a container, like a bucket?
Well, you can do either. So you can do raised beds if you have a little bit larger of an area to plant in. But for people that live in apartments and smaller areas, or even if you're older and you can't bend as well because you're getting older, it's where you can grow into pots. So you can put them on tabletops. You can put them on plant stands. On your fence, they make ones that will slide over and hook onto the edges. Of the pickets and that. And so the main thing is you just want to make sure, first you want to check and make sure what kind of lighting you have as far as how much sun you're getting. So you don't want to plant something and put a container directly under a tree, because that's going to be a lot of shade, and most vegetables need full sun to grow. So they need at least 6 hours a day of full sunlight, direct sunlight to flourish and well.
How does this work too, Sasha, if we're chatting about doing this gardening? Is it typically, because a lot of us are, again, my mom and dad, and we had gardens as children, and every year we would do the tomatoes and the strawberries or the certain, patches, which I absolutely loved. But I got to be honest with you, as an adult, I don't want to use the word it's hard, but I don't know. I've just never really tried it with my daughters because, but I don't know. Do you have to put vitamins in it? Is there special dirt? You know what I'm saying? Where do I start? Because I need the A to Z. Rick Federici, Sasha needs the A to Z. There you go.
That's a very good point.
No problem. Okay, so as far as potting soil and that, what you want to plant into, you want to make sure that you have something that will pack in some nutrients. So it's not necessarily vitamins, but it's the nutrients you want to get out of there. So it's kind of like vitamins for plants, which is where, since I grow organically, I use a lot of compost. You guys compost is like your broken down food waste and grass clippings, leaves, stuff like that from the yard. You let that break down, and then that way, over time, it will feed your plants with the beneficial items that are being released from it as it breaks down.
That's good to know for my own
Yeah.
garden because I don't do anything different. You know, we do plant the garden in the same spot, so I never do anything actually to the soil. I never
was
really
gonna
thought
ask you,
about that.
would-
Maybe that's why we get string beanie carrots.
There. Wait. Let's ask.
Maybe.
It could be your soil type too. So if you have a lot of clay, your carrots will they'll stunt out as soon as they hit the hard layer. So if you have looser soil for carrots, then they'll grow where they get really nice deep roots to them and grow you a nice sized carrot.
What about this? Is going to sound a little silly, but what about a sandier ground?
On sandier ground, you need to have something that you add in to hold the moisture, because otherwise, if you pour water through, like a glass of sand, it's going to run right through. So then you got to add something, whether you use you could use compost in that one too, or you can use peat moss or something that's going to, you kind of incorporate it, mix it in, whether you're doing a container or in an actual whole garden, and you mix it in, and then that way, when it rains or when you water, then that way the water will actually kind of hang out there for a while before, directly running off right away.
Oh,
Here's a great text message. You could call us live and ask questions to Sasha ourselves. I'm not going to say that I'm any expert on anything, but I can at least tell you how much fun it is. 219-861-1632. You could instant text us as well. Someone just asked this question. I don't mean to throw you on the spot, Sasha. Is this the same lady that works with IU Health sometimes and is out and about and has actually done demonstrations? Is that you?
Last year, we did a lawn event. We're going to do it again this year. And yeah. We did a 3-hour event last year on the front lawn where we did the basics of gardening. We did 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 from beginner all the way through advanced on organic gardening and how you can eat better, and tips just to, get yourself better, at gardening. It takes some practice, and, we all are at different levels in life. And, you could be 80 and just starting gardening and, pick it up just as easily as, a little kid. So, yeah.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it again this year, and this year actually we are going to be focusing on urban gardening. So yeah.
And you said that'll be in June.
Actually, it's going to be in May this year. It's going to be on the 21st.
Well, look at that.
Hold on, May 21st.
May 21st.
Yep.
Producers listening, I don't care what anybody says. If you don't mind, with your permission, we'll be out live on radio and TV.
Yeah,
Can we be with you that day?
That'd be great.
Okay, so
Ties it all in.
Yeah, and this year's event is called From Dirt to Delicious. So it should be fun. We're going to do kids' activities. The library's going to be coming in on it with us, and we're going to have all kinds of activities for the kids out there. And that way, parents that sometimes think that, their kids might not, be tame enough to hang out for that long, we're going to have all kinds of fun stuff for them to do that's gardening wise too, whether they're making smoothies or I think we're going to make some dill pickles with the kids. And then that way I can go and teach the adults, or even if any of the kids want to hang out and listen too, I'll give you guys some tips and tricks on all sorts of things.
Awesome.
See, this is fun. I'm watching Sasha, of course, at the Younger Life Studio, Studio B. We're in Studio A here at Gerard Media LLC with Younger Life Live. Mary Anthony, Rick Federicki. And you said Sasha G. Burns. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm hyphenated in one of those.
Totally cool.
I love it.
What does the G stand for?
That's actually, no, it's my maiden name. So yeah.
Oh, okay, I got it. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
that's
I'm digging- I like that.
fantastic.
I could see you too because you're a hip youngster. I could just totally see you being on the whole circuit. And like you said, ladies and gentlemen, Sasha G. Burns.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's really cool.
Especially she also has something else going on called Sun-Kissed Organics, right?
That is. I have a micro farm. I grow I'm up to 12 acres now. I do all heirloom produce. And I grow it all chemical-free, so completely chemical-free, no synthetics. And
Okay, wait. Expand on that. I want to hear
tell
about
us
this.
about
Okay,
that.
so I started out, my parents and my mom and my grandfather started out with a chrysanthemum farm when I was a kid. So chrysanthemums are the fall flowers that bloom, but they have the second highest pollen rate. So I have really, really bad hay fever. So I always, was trying to phase that out as much as possible growing up. So eventually I convinced them to where we could do vegetables. So we expanded into doing heirlooms, which are any variety that's from the 1950s or before that grows true to seed. So basically the seeds I'm growing quite well could have been those same ones that somebody grew back in the 1800s, in Italy. It's like the varieties that the pioneers, the pilgrims brought over with them that they had sewn into the hems of their skirts just so they would have enough seed to produce a garden for their families. Those seeds have been passed on generation to generation and carried on by seed preservationists like myself to keep the varieties going and strong so that they'll go on for, generation after generation after us yet. So it's really cool to be able to harvest a tomato and have the exact same flavor and, look and everything as one that was harvested over 100 years ago. So it's really neat.
What other, so you say tomatoes, what other types of vegetables then do you
I do tomatoes, I do beans, I do, on my beans, I do 3 different colors. I do purple, yellow, and green, and then I actually have, my favorite ones are dragon's tongues, which are a yellow and purple, like with a purple mottled stripe to them, and those are like a flat bean, but they're really, really good. And then,
never even heard of that bean.
Me either. Inquiring minds want to know, Sasha.
Yeah.
How do we get the color infused in there? How does this work? You're not coloring with a
Oh
a
no,
marker or
no,
anything,
it's just
no?
natural. That's just how the genetically, that's how they were grown. And it just carries on. And as long as you watch your pollination so things don't cross, you can keep the varieties going, and true to type. So I can take the seed if you like. In the spring, last year at the IU Health event, we did where everybody got to take home an heirloom tomato that plant that came from my farm. So they can grow that tomato out, and they can actually harvest the tomatoes off of there and save the seed and grow the exact same tomato the year after. Where if you grew a hybrid, such as a big boy or a better boy, which are common in gardens too, that one, if you save the seed on it, you're going to get the mother or the father because it's a hybrid, or you'll get a sterile seed altogether. So you won't get the same tomato if you save your seed. And it's kind of fun just to, saving the seeds, just to kind of, it's almost like a trading network between, people that are gardeners, where it's like, oh, do you got that white cucumber seed, that Ellen's Family White? And, it'd take a couple of states away before you find the seed you're looking for, but you'll get it. It just sometimes takes some searching, but it's pretty cool stuff I can get my hands on.
That is neat. And, this makes, I have no idea, how to exactly do that. But how do you, so you say the tomato plants you sent people home with last year, they grow the tomatoes, and then how do they get the seed? How do you?
So there's a couple different ways to do it. So the easiest way to do it is, and it's completely not scientific whatsoever. You just slice your tomato over a paper towel and let some of the seeds come out on it while you're slicing it for a sandwich or whatever you're doing, salad. And then you just take that seed, let it dry on the paper towel for a matter of, a week or two, however long it takes for it to dry. And then you can just take it and, like, I use old baby food jars because, I stockpiled them when my kids were little. And you put it in there, and then I just put a few grains of like white cooking rice in there, because that'll grab any extra moisture in case the seed wasn't all the way dry, so I don't have to worry about any mold or anything. And then just seal it up, label it, and then you're ready for the next spring to plant it again.
Wow. I definitely never planted my garden like that, but it's
really, pretty fun.
Really neat.
I'm blown away on this whole trading of the seeds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really
it's like an underground network. Watch out. I need that pepper.
Yeah, well, no, it's not baseball cards. It's not Matchbox toys. It's, seeds. But I can see that realistically. And I mean, you're educating us, and I'm sure the listening and viewing audience, because you would never even think about that. Hang on.
Right.
Instant text. Here's a good one. Will you have plants available at the IU Health LaPorte event this year in May? And if so, what is it going to be? There's a good one.
Well, I don't know that we've decided which plants we're doing. I'm sure we'll be giving plants away. I think what we were going to do in the one session, because we're going to do 3 sessions, the one's going to be on container gardening, on urban gardening, so we can, we're going to actually have it where people can come out, and we're going to use upcycled containers, whether it be like, yogurt containers or, old coffee cans, stuff that you can find right around your house. We're going to drill some holes in the bottom and actually let people do a hands-on demonstration, while I give you instructions and give you some tips and stuff on how to do it. And you can ask as many questions as you want, because I can talk all day. So, we're going to do that, but we're going to plant up, I believe, we're going to do herb gardens to begin with. So everybody that comes will be able to, and it's a free event. So everything there is free. So you come, show up, I think it's kind of like you get it for listening to me talk to you for a few hours probably, but, we'll have you where you're sending home, going home with some type of food at least. So whether it be herbs or, tomato plants, I always have a ton of tomato plants. I think every year I grow probably at least 4,000 tomato plants I seed out.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Out of here.
I think I have 75 varieties in my field every year. So
that is
Oh
so
my
neat.
gosh, that's a story. I want to come to your field.
Oh yeah,
You know
come
what's so
out.
cool?
I got chickens, goats, some hogs.
Oh,
Really?
I
Yeah,
love it. That's so neat.
Sasha, this is like cool.
it is pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Holy
Have you
cow.
always been passionate about this then? I mean,
I've always liked to grow things. I always thought that was really cool, the whole idea that I could take something, as simple as a seed, put it in some ground and give it just a little bit of care and walk away and let it go, and then turn around like in a month and have something amazing, that's actually edible come from it. I always thought that was the neatest thing ever, and I always think, I love going to schools and going to different functions and teaching people how to grow their own food, because I always figure you never know what's going to happen in life. If you know how to grow your own food and you know the basics of it, you can survive. So, I always think it's one of those life skills they need to make sure that, I don't know whether it be like in first or second grade, they run you through a gardening course just so, just in case you know how to grow your own food.
I think that's awesome.
Do you teach at all? You said you do seminars. You do things like that. Obviously, you speak. Around our community.
Well, I go into schools, and I go to a lot of area clubs and stuff like that, and go and give, come and do like a guest presentation and that. I did one last week for LaPorte County Extension. I did one of their brown bag lunch presentations where I came and, people bring their lunch and, we go and we give them a presentation for about an hour, during their lunch breaks or whatever, and on different types of gardening. I think there's another one coming up. The next one's going to be at Michigan City Library. Nancy Barnes is going to do that one on water gardening. So yeah,
very cool.
Go all over the place. And I think that one you can find on Purdue Extension's website. I think they have a list of the brown bag series.
That's really cool. I have another question about, this one's a little more personal, I guess. You said your maiden name, so you're married. Was your husband into gardening as well, or was this a whole new concept, new life to him? And what was his reaction initially, and what's his reaction now?
This crazy
after
lady.
A while?
Well,
yeah, I mean, has he evolved to loving this too? If he did not previously.
Actually, he's my ex-husband now, so.
There you go.
He wasn't very outdoorsy is the problem. So
There you go.
I don't know. I spend a lot of time between. I work full time during the day. I have a day job and off the farm. So I actually am a teller at a local bank here. So and then at night, and, especially during the summer, it's not uncommon to find me out there with my car running with the headlights on so that I can pick the green beans for the next day's market. So sometimes we're out there by a headlamp, picking the beans and stuff, getting it done. But we figure out how to get it all finished. And the winter's kind of like a hibernation time for me. I always consider it because I'm actually not out too many hours past dark. So yeah.
I'm glad you brought up winter. So that was a really good question. Is there anything right now in these winter months? Although now, thank goodness we're nearing the end of that.
Yeah.
But is there anything we can do indoors? Obviously, not such a
of course.
scale.
So
But,
you can always start planting your windowsills. So as long as you have a south or west facing window, that's where you're going to get your strongest direct sun inside of your house. So if you have look for your south or west facing, because that's your afternoon sun, which is stronger rays come from the sun. It counts for more than if you have morning sun. So you can take a simple container. You just want to make sure you have good drainage to it. You don't want your roots when your plant starts growing being waterlogged in there, because it will actually your roots will rot, and that would be bad, and it'll smell. And so you can go and get like some simple lettuce seed or basil or something, and just kind of sprinkle it on the top and just barely mix it in, and then just give it keep it moist, but you don't need it to where it's saturated your soil. You want to keep it just barely damp so it will germinate, so your seeds will sprout. And then probably in like a month or two you'll be able to where you could start actually harvesting leaves off the lettuce and the basil.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think basil is takes about a month and a half before you can start pulling leaves. But yeah.
Okay, here's a great question. Someone listening, of course. What is the age, first off, what is the age that you would suggest, Sasha, to get your children involved, knowing that you have, children that are younger? And then how long of a process is that with them? In other words, do they sit out there with you for hours? Is it something where you, Sasha, gets the A, B, and C done and you say, okay, kids, come on out. You're planting the seeds. But that's a great question because you don't want to.
It is.
Well, you don't want to overwhelm them. So, I think if your kids are new to gardening, and even if you're new to gardening, if you just do like short periods of time, whether it just be, going out in the spring and when you're, go out and buy some transplants, which are, already started vegetable plants or perennials, whatever you want to do, and plant those together just because that's kind of easy and it doesn't take too long. Basically you're just shoveling holes, and planting the stuff in. But then, if you just take them out, once a day to check to make sure stuff's, watered, or to make sure, it's growing well and there's no insects on it or anything like that. Kind of like I call them well-being checks on my plants, where you go and you kind of just wander through, make sure everything's going okay, and then that way if you do see, an issue whether it be like an insect or if you're starting to get some kind of like fungal issue or something, you can stop it right away. And it's a good learning experience for kids too, because sometimes, my kids still too, they'll see something out in the field and it'll make them want to go, run back in and check, they'll Google it to see, oh, what would that be? What can I do to fix that? Which is pretty cool because kids anymore are so, advanced as far as technology. My daughter's out there Googling in the fields. So, half the time, I don't even know. I think she's doing Snapchat on my, tomato plants. But yeah, I think, my kids have been out there from birth. So, I remember little Mia, my youngest one, we came home from the hospital and I don't know, it was probably like maybe 4 or 5 days before she was born that I went out and went on this kick and bought like, I don't know, like a couple thousand transplants that I was going to transplant into larger containers and then move into my field. And then, so I was at the hospital and I remember thinking that I needed to check myself out of the hospital because I had all these plants at home dying, so I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get home. So little Mia, as soon as we were able to go home, I had her in her stroller out in the greenhouse with me, and she just, slept a lot back then. So it was, a lot easier, but, it wasn't a day that I didn't carry her in that she didn't have like, dirt smudges on her clothes from me, having to deal with her while I was planting. But yeah, she's pretty much completely grown up in it. My older one, Lexi, she's still kind of not as outdoorsy, so she's going to be more, I think, my bookkeeper in the end there. But yeah, I think, kids like being outside and they love getting dirty. So anytime you can get them where they can play around and get their hands dirty and not get yelled at is amazing because, usually kids get dirty and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going somewhere, you got to get cleaned up. But, let them get dirty. It's good for them. And there's lots of studies showing that, a little bit of dirt's good for your immune system when you're young too. It'll help you be more resistant to stuff. You're not supposed to eat it, but playing in it is good.
It's so true. It's so true. How long have you had Sun-Kissed Organics? I mean, how long has that been?
Let's see. I think it's going on its 13th year this year.
Really?
So yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you? I mean, just Google you online?
Oh yeah, they can. I got a Facebook page under Sun-Kissed Organics, or I write a weekly column in the LaPorte Herald-Argus every Monday.
Fantastic.
Yeah, every Monday I do. I think it's Dig This or Dig It. I don't even know what I'm called anymore. And
oh my God, we gotta have you on all the time.
Yeah, that's really cool.
This is great.
yeah, it's on Monday, so that's always excitement. And so today my goat's in labor, so I'll just warn you right now that next Monday is going to be all about my little baby goats. So
Oh my goodness, nothing's cuter. I love
That is
baby
so
goats.
cool. Sandy from South Bend is viewing us right now on YoungerLife.org/live and was, asking what is your favorite thing to not only plant but eat? Because obviously you've thrown out a whole bunch of stuff. So that's a really cool question. That's
Absolutely.
great.
Well, I think my favorite thing, I'm definitely into the tomatoes, and there's so many, there's thousands of different varieties of the heirlooms. So I have a lot of favorites, but my absolute favorite is one called Black Krim. It's about the size of your fist, and so it's like a medium-sized tomato, but it has like a taste to it like it's been like grilled, and it has like a little bit of a salty taste to it. It's a black tomato. So it's a Russian one, and it's actually just really full of flavor. You can just, I eat them out in the field half the time. I always call it quality control. I go and sample the food out there and make sure it's okay.
That's
But
right.
yeah,
You are like my best friend now because I'm not kidding you. If you don't mind, Sasha, and I'm being serious, and if you're cool with this, I know our executive producer, Ryan Beth, is good, and I know the tech team on the IU Health side and Younger Life Live are all about this. So now that I've gotten everybody involved because they're all going to eat with us, I think we need to see you when you do your event in May.
Yeah.
And I think we need to, with your permission, and of course we don't want to hone in on personal stuff, but I'll go out in the field and you can
That would be
throw
so
one at
fun.
me. I mean,
Yeah,
I
we
would
could play
love
plop.
this.
I have a chicken named Plop.
Do you
You
really?
do, that's so funny. It cracked me up that my kids called it. I mean, it was just such a random thing, and I still find it funny.
Can I throw out this out there too? On a eating healthier note, obviously in the beginning, if you're just joining us on Younger Life Live, Sasha G. Burns here, of course, in the studio on the viewing platform too, youngerlife.org/live. You could hear it here on our flagship station, WIMS. And then we always have the podcast, and you could view this on youtube.com afterwards. But you know, when it comes to eating healthy, you obviously have eaten healthy since you have been a young lady, little girl, because you had mentioned your grandparents or your grandfather in this case. But do you find that you eat healthy a lot? And how could we here on Younger Life, you know, throw that out there to our audience? Because, you know, a lot of us may not have access, but we want to buy that fresh produce, or we want to have access to that. Can you help us on that side a little bit, Sasha? Maybe give us your knowledge and your insight to that, please?
Yeah. Well, so as far as, you know, everybody always thinks that since I grow everything organic that I eat strictly nothing but organic goodness. So I know when I started working at the bank, they were really excited that I ate pizza and was like a normal person. They considered it. So, you know, but I think it's all in moderation. So, you know, if you're used to not eating a fresh diet, you know, you don't want to go and all of a sudden, you know, do nothing but raw fresh food, you know, every day, because it's going to kind of throw your system out of whack. But it's good if you start subbing in different stuff. So, you know, if I go and I eat, you know, if I plan on eating like a heavier dinner where I'm going out to dinner and I'm going to eat something greasy and not good for you, you know, but tastes probably pretty good. But, you know, I'll try to balance it out and make sure that I eat, you know, something for lunch that, you know, has a lot more vegetables and nutrients in it too. And then, you know, because then the days after that, to the point after a while when you eat so much different fresh food and that, you know, you feel differently. So when I go and I eat, you know, raw stuff, or I eat straight out of the field, I do feel like I have a lot more energy to me, and you know, I'm more motivated to go and keep, you know, working, get stuff done, accomplishing things. But I notice that when I don't eat healthy, you know, and I go and splurge on something, you know, that I'll probably regret the next day, I realize that I'm kind of more, you know, where I just sit down and do nothing. So, you know, I do notice a big difference as far as energy, and I know a lot of people are drinking like those energy drinks and stuff like that. You know, it's just as easy if you go out and get yourself, you know, even if you go to the store, pick yourself up a pint of cherry tomatoes and just snack on those. It's amazing how much more energy you'll get just by eating fresh stuff, you know, because your body doesn't have to use as many, you know, as much in your metabolism to break it down. It doesn't take as much energy to break your food down. So it seems that, you know, that energy can be transferred to your regular life, and, you know, you feel more where you wake up in the morning, you actually want to go and do things, you know, as opposed to like, oh gosh, here we go again. So yeah. So I would say just, you know, even if you just try to make your lunch healthier, and it's not always just eating a salad, you know, you can take beans and steam them, or, you know, my boyfriend, he's really big into potatoes, you know, so he, you know, constantly is raiding my potato area. So, you know, he can make pretty much anything with potatoes, it seems.
Wait, stop right there. What do you mean? He explained the potato side of things, and that boyfriend better watch it, because he's going to kick his butt, right?
He knows. You know, actually we met over potatoes. So, you know, I always tease him because he, you know, he found me on Facebook and needed to buy some potatoes. So, you know, I always tell him that that's apparently I have to keep growing potatoes to keep him around or something. But no, he's actually really great. So yeah, he'll go and whether it be, you know, he'll go and, you know, make potatoes, you know, slice them up real thin or something, or, you know, mash them up and mix them in with different stuff. But, you know, I think every single meal that boy is eating potatoes. So, you know, he definitely, I have to always grow more and more now, I've realized, you know, having him around. So yeah. But you know, and I'm a squash fanatic as far as cooking goes. So, you know, during the fall, I co-op with two other farmers. So, there's one that's a Mennonite fella that's over, kind of in like the, over by the Amish folk, you know, over east to us. And then, I have a friend over in Porter County, and we each, because we do heirloom varieties, we each take on about 3 different varieties each year, and then we swap at the end. So, you know, I'll grow in bulk, like, you know, one called Pink Banana, I'll do a Cushaw, and then, usually like a Hubbard squash, and then they'll do like Fairy Tale, Cinderella, you know, and usually by the end we get about, you know, sometimes we get about 10, 12 different types. But that way, if my crop would completely fill, I still have squash to offer my customers, and that because I have my friends where we all kind of like co-op together and share. So it's really cool. But then I cook with it a lot too. So like all winter long, I have like a stockpile of squash in my house, you know, and I'll mix it into chili as a thickener. I'll mix it into cake batters to make it more moist. You know, I'll mix it in with, you know, heck, I can add squash into darn near anything and make it taste good. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
Keep it all winter. How do you keep it?
We're getting all kinds of questions too on this.
You know, you said you keep it all winter. How do you keep it
Oh, you just keep it room temperature. You just keep it. You gotta check it every so often to make sure it's not bruised, you know, because then it'll get a soft spot. You just gotta use it quicker then. But I can usually keep it. I have some still sitting in my house, so usually until I usually use it up by March. It seems.
I always thought
Like big squash is what I'm talking, not like little acorns, you know, like I'm talking 10-pound squash.
Just talking mama.
Yeah, well, you know, I was thinking, I only thought potatoes and onions you could just keep in like.
No, you just got. I keep them room temperature. Mine are just sitting in crates in my house, so you know it's fun with.
That's sweet. And that's really good.
Sasha, we have a couple of questions here. One is a fun-loving one. Another one's a very serious one. You guys had mentioned fertilizer. Do you use natural fertilizer? And they put in parentheses, we're going to use the word, if there's any children there, I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, poop. Do we use, natural fertilizer, or would you suggest, because someone's saying, I've never done this. This sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, I don't think, realize that you could do this right now in the winter. Great question.
Things, right.
Oh yeah, you could start right now. So as far as like I do a lot of my kitchen scraps and that I take in compost. So I take them inside. I usually have a bowl in my refrigerator that's all like, you know, the stuff that's compostable, whether it be my peelings from different vegetables, the tops to the carrots, you know, and anything like that, eggshells. The only thing you can't add into your compost, you don't want to do dairy and you don't want to do meat because of the pathogens in those. They don't break down as well in compost. So I take those, put them in a bowl, and I keep it in the refrigerator just so that it doesn't get smelly, you know, and then once a week or so, however often it takes me to fill up the container, I'll go outside and I'll dump it into my bigger pile that I have going. And then over the winter, your compost pile will continue breaking down because it has heat in the center from that it generates from breaking down from all the different material in there, and it will actually continue working because the end product will be where it looks like soil to you. So it'll be just like new garden soil that's just nutrient rich and ready to go. But we use worm castings, which is worm poop. So, you know, that's always fun to explain to people. They're like, oh my gosh, you know, they're scared to death the worms are going to attack them or something. But, you know, there's no worms hurt in this process. So, you know, it's just worm poop that you put out there, and it's full of all kinds of microorganisms in that. And then, you know, sometimes we go and we mix it up into a compost tea as well. You know, add a little molasses to activate it a little more, and then spread that out over the field. But most of it, you know, we just kind of try to feed it and keep our soil nice and rich with nutrients so that we don't ever have a need to use real, you know, synthetic chemicals like Miracle-Gro or anything like that. You know, organic gardening, it takes a little while. You don't see results overnight, but in the long term, you'll be more satisfied with what you're doing.
I'm sure, too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sasha, you're the expert here, it's got to be better for you, right? I mean,
I think, you know, anytime you're not putting something, you know, if you're putting something that's not natural into your body, you know, over time, I would think that would build up. But if you're just doing stuff that's naturally occurring in the soil, you know, what harm's that going to do for you? Don't go out and eat the soil, you know, of course not, you know, that, but, you know, you can eat the things that are growing in the soil.
Call your doctor if you have the urge to eat.
You know, we eat our carrots straight from the field sometimes, you know, there's like, you got to brush the dirt off and eat them, but, you know, you don't even have to go inside and rinse them. I always am puzzled when I do like Chicago farmers markets and that people are always like, oh, did you wash these tomatoes? And I'm always trying to figure out what they want me to wash off of them. I'm like, no, like what do you think is coming on my tomatoes? So
composting's always been a little intimidating. I mean, so it's nice to hear you talk about it so simply that it's,
a lot of people don't even realize what that is, quite honestly.
Well, that's it. And you know, when she's saying she keeps it in her fridge, the first thing I think is, oh God, this has got to stink.
Oh no, not if it's in your fridge. It won't stink.
It doesn't. Yeah.
It keeps the smell down on it. If you put it on the counter, that's when it starts getting a little gross for you. And if it starts smelling, then you just take it out sooner. You know.
Right.
We have two questions here. One asking you to kind of elaborate, if you wouldn't mind, Sasha G. Burns, here on Younger Life Live with Mary Anthony and Rick Federighi. Thank you all for joining us, viewing us. They wanted you to explain a little bit more about the herb side of life, but then here's a funny one, and I thought this was cute, with a big emoji smiley face, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody. Ask Sasha, by the way, killer interview, if we can grow agave plants in this climate so we can make our own tequila. There you go.
Well, if you have a greenhouse, you could probably do that. But, you know, I think with the global warming, it's going to be quite a while before we can even do citrus. So, you know, you can maybe do some agave inside if you got the space, you know, and you want to keep your on that as a house plant. But you won't get the production that you need, I don't think, to start making your tequila.
There's your answer, smart guys and
Sorry.
But you can do potatoes, and you can make potato vodka from that. So, you know.
Wait.
Oh my goodness, I've never
You
heard
got to
of
tell
such
me
a
that.
thing.
I want to hear. How do you do this now? Explain.
Well, I can't tell you how to do that. I don't know if you're legally allowed to do that yet in Indiana. So.
You're now my best.
You have to have a still, I'll tell you that. It involves getting a still. And so, you know, if you follow the proper guidelines for doing that, it's similar to making moonshine. How about that?
How about this?
Funny.
All
That is
opinions
funny.
expressed here on Younger Life
That's
Live
right.
do not reflect those of management, our advertising partners, which, by the way, we're commercial free, and of course anybody else affiliated, including IU Health Laboratory Hospital. Okay, so Sasha, this is absolutely phenomenal. This is so great.
It really is so interesting, especially knowing we're going into a nicer couple days.
Sure.
It just gets everybody's wheels turning and thinking. Another basic question: when do you suggest, if you're going to do outdoor gardening, whether it be container or raised beds or traditional garden in the ground, about what time of year do you suggest you put it in?
Okay, so if you're going to do seeds in that, you want to probably start them indoors because you'll have better results. As far as tomatoes, peppers, and that, I usually start them about the first week of March, somewhere before the end of the month of March. Because you want to have your plants where they're large enough to transplant them. I usually do the weekend after Mother's Day. The frost guidelines, for Indiana, for northern Indiana, they always say about Mother's Day, which is about the second weekend. I would go one weekend past that just so you wouldn't have to be, carrying stuff in and out or covering it, buy you some time of, not having to run around with your plants all the time. So, and then if you want to do potatoes and stuff like that, you can start them earlier. Usually my potatoes go into the ground, usually about the first, second week of April, I'll start putting those in because it takes them a while before they sprout. So usually by the time they sprout, and they can tolerate some frost. Your lettuces, cabbages, peas, that can all go in early because it can handle some light frost. And so there's a lot of stuff you can start in April, beginning of May. But most of your typical garden, like corn, beans, that kind of stuff, and corn and bean have to be direct seed, where you take the seed and actually put it in the soil outside. They don't like to transplant that well. You want to take those, and don't put them in the ground. I wouldn't recommend until probably the second or third week at least of May. And as long as you get your garden planted by the 4th of July, usually it will catch up, with all the other stuff. So yeah.
Usually after school is out in June sometime.
Yeah.
Sure.
I always aim for the 4th of July to have everything planted. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because I think it's you hear especially my aunts and uncles and stuff talking about their gardens, and we're still like
their gardens are beautiful. Blooming Sasha, she's got these little carrots, these little tooth pickers,
and disaster everywhere from.
That's okay. You're doing
mud.
it though
but
with
it's
your
still
children.
fun. The kids do love it, and it's nice. It's a good snack, and I think with kids it's easier to get them to eat veggies when they think it's a snack or a treat. My little ones love to take out a basket and come show me how much they've picked. Like, look at all of this. Even if it's not, if it's not totally ready, you say, this one wasn't ready.
Yeah. Well, we're like that on the strawberries.
So better. It's not such a big deal. Yeah.
You're right,
when about compost, last thing about compost, my question is when you say put it outside, how do you keep animals out of it?
Oh, so if it's compost, okay. So I usually just put it. I usually have a bin. I'm one of those people that finds pallets and will figure out something to do with them. I stockpile just about anything. So I just made like a U-shaped thing out of pallets and with one side open, so like the sides are upright, kind of making like a little cubby, and then I dump it into there. And so I put it in there, and then I don't think I ever have an issue with animals outside of like my chickens. My chickens like to raid the compost pile, but outside of them, I've never had an issue with any animals going in there. It seems as long as you don't have the dairy and the meat, that attracts a lot of animals that you don't want in your yard, like raccoons and possums and stuff. So if you keep that out, there's not too many animals that are going to raid a compost pile.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I would think, oh great, we're inviting the animals to come.
No. Actually, a compost pile is actually really clean compared to to anything else. So I think they're.
Have you ever written a book? I'm just curious.
I wrote a book, but it wasn't about gardening. So,
well, okay. Well, if you don't mind me asking, what was that about? Was it about relationships?
I wrote my friend's memoir about his life. Sunny, it could be. I can't. It's Akihgbe. He asked me to write his life story for him. It actually just got published earlier this year or last year. So last summer, yeah. So he's on a book tour with it. He's from Michigan City though. So well, he lived in Michigan City, but he's originally from Nigeria. So yeah.
Look at you. You are like a worldly kind of gal, and you're young.
That's awesome.
This is great.
Congratulations.
It was pretty fun. Yeah, it was a cool project.
Well, you know what I was thinking though? If you ever wanted to write, a book about all this stuff you're talking about today here on Younger Life Live. My gosh, your knowledge is like unbelievable, and I think it's
very
wonderful.
cool.
I'm learning a lot, and I just think you're just a wealth of information, and you're happy and you're energized, and you must be a cool kind of fun mom too with the games. You know, in terms of being able to go out in the field. How many acres do you got?
We're up to 12
now.
12 now. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and we do it everything. Everything's by hand. So yeah, that's why it takes me forever to plant stuff. So sometimes in the newspaper, I think they get sick of hearing about me and the potato planting that goes on for a solid month. But it takes me a long time to dig that many holes. So and get them all planted in there. But yeah, it takes me a while, but I enjoy it. I think it's normal people, regular people will go and they'll drive somewhere far away and they'll be like, oh, it's really great, thinking time. I consider it when I'm out gardening. It's enough to where I can do it where I come up with all kinds of great ideas while I'm out there. And not only that, I get to watch, all the different insects and, stuff around me that normally other people would take for granted and not even stop and notice. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Will you tell Mr. Bill Hackney over at the newspaper and all the gang over at the Herald Argus? I think that's phenomenal. It's another piece of information.
That's great. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So people can,
Seriously.
find you in there and take all these tips and
I think run with it.
Hopefully my carrots will grow better this year.
The challenge
some of the things I've learned.
Challenge is you and I are going to do some stuff. I don't mind doing
love
stuff
to go
here.
to. Yeah, I would love to go to the
out
farm.
and about, but I want to go to your farm if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool.
I want to come hold the baby goat because I love.
She's supposed to have twins today, so we'll have to see. Her name's Princess, so I've been on night watch with Princess all. I think I slept 4 hours last night because I was, checking on the goat all night. So yeah.
Oh, how sweet.
And how does that work? Do the goats come out like naturally, obviously, but then
yeah,
what do you do
they don't need really much help. You just have to be there since it's wintertime still to dry them off to make sure they get dry because they can't regulate their body temperature for a couple weeks. So you just got to make sure they get like their moms will try to lick them dry, but you got to get in there with a towel to make sure they're dried all the way off. So my sister's on babysitting duty today for the rest of the day until I get home. So
well, I've got a great idea, and she's probably listening and viewing us right now. I think your day is going to be busy for the next 12 hours, so just don't go home for a bit. Have her call you when the goat is born.
Yeah, I'm figuring she's going to send me like text message and pictures or something once because she's pretty good. My sister's one of those that she'll step right in there. She went earlier this year and we started we're getting into livestock preservation, the rare breeds and that. So every animal we have is in the endangered list from American Breed Conservancy. So the goats I have are actually Swiss dairy goats, and then they're Oberhaslis. I have Ancona ducks. There's less than 500 breeding pair of those in the world. I have probably about 20 different types of heritage breed hens that we sell the eggs from for people to eat. And then we started with black guinea hogs this summer, and so they're all over by my sister right now. But I think we're up to 30 some hogs right now, and they're little guys. They only max out at maybe like 200 pounds, but they're supposed to have really great meat qualities to them.
Wow. That's really cool.
Here's a really cool question from a young millennial that is listening right now with his girlfriend actually on their day off. They were talking about, the fruits and some of the things that you're talking about and the produce. They said, we like our beer, and they are getting into this whole thing. How about wheat, hops, and barley? And I'm just throwing this out there because I'm reading straight off this text. Because they would like to do that. Can you do this in this application or not really? Just a question.
You can. In order to grow enough wheat to make it worth your while, it's kind of tricky. Wheat and barley are more row crops. So, when you see the corn and beans on the side of the road and the large, 100-acre fields, it takes a lot of it to actually produce something is what, with wheat and barley. Hops, I know several people that are growing hops now. There's probably at least a dozen different types. So you got to always know which variety you want to grow, but you need to know in advance because it's going to be a few years at least before you get a sizable, harvest off the hops. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are starting to do their own home brewing and stuff as far as beers and stuff. Yeah. I was going to say, one of the girls at IU Health, I know she has, her and her husband, I think, have an acre in hops that they've been doing for a few years. Katie, So, yeah.
Let's get her on this. Let's all hang out.
We love her.
Yeah. I think I'm almost positive she's the one that has, like, the acre of hops growing. So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. She withheld that bit of information.
Yeah.
I learned that when we did the LaPorte County leadership class together. And we were talking about one day. So, yeah.
You
She
are
was
a
great.
leader. You are
Yeah, I love
wonderful.
that.
I mean,
love that.
I know people that would probably that are listening or viewing you right now or both would be like, man, I'll back you on a book. You need to write a book about
That's
this
really
stuff.
cool.
I'll have to look and see if I have any
Serious.
spare time to do that.
Yeah, I know.
You have
Fit that
people.
in.
Come on, Sasha. You have
Yeah.
people. So this is really wonderful. So between this point now and your May event,
Yes.
With IU Health LaPorte Hospital, you had mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, May 21st. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Was
that's
that
going to
the
be May
date on it?
21st. May 21st.
Okay, cool.
It's on a
Do you
Saturday.
do-
Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Awesome. Do you do other kind of events? You had mentioned Chicago. Obviously, you're going
Yeah,
to the farmers
I
market.
do the farmers market at Chicago Botanic Garden the first and third Sundays every month, and I do the LaPorte Farmers Market. I think this year I'm just going to be there every other weekend. It's going to be on Saturdays downtown, over by it's in between Atropol and Mucho Mas in that parking lot over there in LaPorte. And then I sell at my farm, and then that's kind of hit or miss. You got to track me down sometimes, but yeah. And then I actually have a large speaking engagement at the Chicago Flower and Garden Show this year. I'm doing a Hooked On Heirlooms presentation on St. Patrick's Day.
You are awesome. We
I'm
need to-
pretty
you-
excited
you
about
record
that,
those
actually. So yeah.
sessions? That's really cool. You should record that session. I'd be more than happy to play it here, on WIMS, the flagship station for Younger Life Live from a radio perspective. And this is great. And obviously, for those folks that have just joined us here with Sasha G. Burns, Mary Anthony, and Ricky Federici, we have this on YoungerLife.org. Connect with the podcast and the viewing part of it. You can go to YouTube.com. And how do you spell, if you don't mind me asking, Sasha, if how do you do that? How do you spell it?
So my first name is Sacha, and then my last name is GEE-BURNS.
All right, see,
Perfect.
you learned something new. I thought it was like Sasha G.
So did I.
As
So
in
did
great,
I.
the letter
That's
G.
funny.
No,
Thank
like
you.
gee whiz.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
I
we
like
go.
that. Okay, this is absolutely phenomenal. So, you mean from the perspective too of eating, what would you say to folks out there too that might be like, this is great and the produce is much better for you. If they want to connect with you at your farm, would you want to throw out information or get it to us, because we would love to just promote what you're doing?
Yeah, no
'cause
problem.
obviously this is fresh and real.
So right now I have a mix of two farms going on, because one's right over by my sister's house. My original farm, it's in between my grandparents' house and my sister. So I'm the spot in between. So my sister helps me out actually a lot over there. And so that one's on 400 West, about a mile west of the fairgrounds in LaPorte. And then the other one I have is on 421. It's the old Allred farm. So we just purchased that last summer. And so I think I have about 30 heirloom apple trees out there. I have a whole orchard that I'm getting ready to rework. I think it's been kind of neglected for the past 20 years, so I'm going to revamp it and get some more stuff out there, do some plum trees and grapes, and switch a lot of the produce stuff over there, because the hogs are trying to take over my other fields. So yeah.
Well,
Absolutely
how cool.
great.
Yeah.
I appreciate you joining us for
Well,
sure.
thank
and
you for
telling us.
inviting me.
I'm so excited. I'm trying to jot down a few notes.
I know,
thinking,
I'm
like I
freaking out.
said,
I'm like, this is cool.
my own little, little book of tips that I could use when we do plant, so.
Yeah, and definitely come out to the IU Health event that's in May, because we're going to do, I think, a straight hour. The last session is going to be all question and answer, anything gardening.
Oh, great.
Just throw it at me, and
Yeah.
I'll try to. If I can't figure it out, I'll find somebody that can. So yeah.
Yeah,
You're
great.
awesome.
Well, thank
You're
you
great.
so much.
Thank you so much, Sasha.
You're welcome. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you for your time. Continued success in all that you do.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks.
Wow, is that wonderful?
She was so cool.
She is so great. There's another version of our Younger Life Live here with, of course, Gerard Media LLC flagship radio station, AM 1420 WIMS. And I'm Rick Federici.
I'm Mary Anthony.
All right, so challenge is on. Fun stuff is happening.
Yeah.
You and I will be...
I love, there's so many cool places we could go. I would love to go to that farm, check it out.
Let's do it.
It's really cool.
I'm all about that. Listen, if you want us to come to you, or if you have some suggestions, you could email me, Rick, RIC. I always say no Richard, no K, no Dick. RIC at WIMSradio.com. Thanks to our executive producer. Big round of applause. Ryan, Beth.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you guys that are viewing and listening. And we appreciate, again, YoungerLife.org/live. You can go to YouTube.com and scope out past shows, podcasts.
Please
it's
do.
going to be great.
Yep.
So we're taking
More to
that
come.
on the road in upcoming shows. You and I, kid.
That's right.
We're going to be going
hitting.
down. We are the Cafe 1007.
Yep.
Or you
And
say
we're going to be
1007?
doing a little follow up at the bike stop. So.
Yep. I think it's going to be
Todd and Trina.
absolutely fun. And if you guys have any insight, you want to check it out, or you want to get us a message, YoungerLife.org. So we'll continue. By the way, staying younger, living longer,
Feeling better, finding
Yeah.
that balance. You
good
know.
mojo.
That's
and
right.
And to all the family and friends out there and the partners that make this happen and the behind the scenes crew, we thank you very much
Absolutely.
for all that. On behalf of us all here at Younger Life Live, you enjoy your day. We'll see you again tomorrow for another fine edition
Mm-hmm.
here. And tomorrow, what do we got coming on the show? We're going to talk backpacking tomorrow?
We
gonna have
are.
some fun? Okay,
We
cool.
are. Spring. Yep.
All right, let's get out of here. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. See ya.
Bye.
AM 1420, WIMS, Michigan City, a Girard Media Company station.